NXT. I'm hoping you see me correctly. Please tell me if the lighting condition's alright. I just changed the bulb from the lamp I have from an orangey warm color to more of a bluish whitish color. It looks white on my face. To be honest, both of them make my eyes look like I haven't slept in 10 years. And I do sleep. And I'm still trying to get used to that. But I think the lighting condition hasn't been too bad. You can see me pretty well. It's a different perspective, and I'm still getting used to it. So hopefully you're not too uncomfortable with the lighting. I'm going to tell you this. This was an interesting NXT. It was very interesting. We got a lot of people here, and I'm not going to cover everything and everyone. Well, at least I'll try to, but I'll miss somebody. But I'm telling you this. I was interested in No Mercy, which, not bad. I was interested into it. Now I'm very interested in seeing where they're going to go with much of the people here. And this is actually a good thing to see from NXT. So, we had two kind of openings. One, Petrovic was taken out by Izzy Dane. So, it was done. We lost her and she got replaced with Reese. Now, the opening with Chase U, with Rich Holland, with well, how can I say this? I've always expected that Duke Hudson would leave with Osborne. I always thought he was going to leave with Roddy Osborne, but they stayed. Along with Chase U, which doesn't mean that's great, but doesn't mean it's bad. Chase U has always been a very core amount of people in it, and they've always stayed pretty stable. So it's good to see they've been keeping with this faction. And once the former tag champs, Axiom Frazier, came out saying they want a rematch, and as who was the one who said they don't do rematches? They don't do rematches anymore in WWE, and that was Kevin Owens. He says they don't even do rematches anymore, which he's right. We get this little segment from Rich Holland talking about him rebuilding himself, and every person in Chase U helped him to rebuild himself. Which was a good thing. I'm actually glad they did address it. Did Rich do a good job? He did alright. But knowing now, the only option for Axiom and Frazier to get a second shot get a shot again at their titles is something set up by Duke and Riley saying, you know what? You guys want your shot? You gotta prove it. You gotta earn it. Go through us, then you do that. Which we got a match because of it. And you would think was going to be at the end of the show. Well, even though we didn't know the entire scope unless you check Twitter. X. To know what they're going to be building into. You get Riley and pretty much Duke saying, you know what? When you're in Chase U, you're always ready. They're pulling off their clothes like it was Angel Garza. And then they start their match. Which, let's make it clear. I knew that the former tag champs were going to win. There's no way they're going to lose. I didn't expect them to lose. They got to give Andre Chase and Rich Holland something to do. So this is what we got at No Mercy. We got a good match that leads into No Mercy. We got the former tag champs now winning their match against the MVP and the one who seemed to have the best potential, N.A. Osborne. It wasn't that surprising. It was kind of telegraphed because they wanted to do it at the very beginning of the show. But it was still a good match. Next, the match that was like, okay, what do we have here when it comes to Lola Vice and a Wendy Chu? We're getting Wendy Chu to what? I know that they were trying to do something with Kiana Jordan when it came to Wendy Chu. She got choked out last time. That's the reason why she wanted to jump into that ring and take Wendy's head off. But Lola Vice gave her a back fist and knocked her out. And that was after a very interesting match from Wendy Chu. Look, I never had a problem with Wendy Chu. Yeah, the sleepy time thing I was never fond of. But I always thought she was a good wrestler that could talk. And I'm not trying to be nasty. Girl got curves. They're not playing into her sexuality, which is good. They still kind of remained kind of faithful to her original character where she's still in pajamas. That's alright. But now that she's showing more cleavage for her chest and she's a lot more aggressive, that makes her more of, not seductress, but more sexualized. But not at the same time, because how her face is painted to be something like a doll, but not like a doll. She's like the anti-doll that has a lot of curves built onto her. And seeing that they kind of kept some of her old character, and now that she's wrestling an entirely different style, where in this match, Lola Vice is the former MMA wrestler, well, MMA fighter, and pretty much Wendy did not one submission on her, she did 3 separate submissions. 2 of them the same one different. Was interesting to see from her. Most of the women jump around and bounce around and bump around, but Wendy was more grounded, which was actually a very interesting thing to see. And when Kiana Jordan came out and got the back fist from Lola Vice, and then Wendy basically won because she had to, basically during the submission, that third submission, not third submission, she grabbed her pillow with the title, and I knew it had to be something, it was a loaded pillow, hit Lola in the face, she won. That was fine. And seeing 3 submissions, then the use of the pillow was fine. Do I like that Wendy got her clock cleaned by Kiani and then she got her title back? No, but she needed to get her title back. Kind of wish that Wendy had been nailed, but then managed to roll out of the ring and stayed very stoic. That was me. Other people will find it fine, but me, I kind of wish Wendy, if she had been nailed by Kiani, she managed to roll out of the ring. She's kind of like that. Wendy can't get the title back. She can't get a bit of pillow back, but Kiani did. And that would have been alright for me personally. I just didn't like seeing Wendy just get laid out. Next, we get... What do I want to say about this No Mercy Gauntlet Eliminator? There was only one person that could win. I'm sorry. Now, Soruka went up against Red Sinclair first. And I like Soruka. I'm not going to tell you I don't. I really do like Soruka. I really do believe out of any of the people who have any gymnastic background or tumbling background or cheerleader background, she's one of the best I've seen that at least she learned at least a little bit more to bring the gymnastics back a little bit and bring up the professional wrestling. Bring up more wrestling moves and wrestling holds. Now, I'm not saying she's doing it correctly. She's not. But at least she understood to crank it back just a little bit because she's always been like this. So as far as I can tell, since she came back from an ACL, she came like this. So she's not like this. She's more one here, and it's a little here. So it's a little better. So I can easily say that compared to Kiana Jordan, compared to Reese, compared to Bright, or any of the others that are acting with a lot of tumbling, a lot of gymnastics, hers is a bit better and it's much more crisper. And due to the fact that she's a very tall, lengthy woman, a lot of the moves she does when she does do any professional wrestling moves, it's a lot more impactful because of her height and size compared to most women. She's just a taller woman that has a bit of a better build. Does it remind you of somebody? Does she have the body of a Charlotte Flair, except Charlotte got fake boobs and basic Soruka does not? The only difference between Soruka and pretty much Charlotte is that Charlotte got fake boobs, Soruka does not. But Soruka has a much better gymnastic ability than a Charlotte Flair has. So whenever we see these two ever meet, because if Charlotte ever met Soruka on the main roster, or if she goes to NXT when she's supposedly coming back, and I might do a gut report on Charlotte when she comes back. In fact, I'm going to be honest here. I actually was going to, my paperwork is here. I don't want to pull it out. I actually, before my lighting system went out, I was going to do 3 gut reports. And I'm going to probably do them tomorrow. Now that I got the lighting decently done. I'm going to do 3 gut reports. I'll see if I can release 2 of them this week. And maybe 1 the next week. Let's see if I can do it. But when Soruka goes up against Charlotte, my nose is itchy. You're going to see the difference between a all-around athlete compared to an athlete that is a specific style of athlete like a Soruka. Not saying that Charlotte is a bad wrestler. I never did. She has been known. She did softball. I know she did a couple of other sports. So it's not like she doesn't know sports. She's done at least 2 or 3 different sports when she was younger. I say 2. But Soruka is a gymnast. And since wrestling has become more athletically inclined, you're going to see an all-around wrestler in a Charlotte Flair who has experience compared to Soruka, who has a lot of gymnastic ability. And it's going to be a very interesting situation when you try to compare the two and you wonder, can Charlotte put over Soruka? I'm saying this right now. But I'm going to tell you the women that were there. You got Soruka, you got Sinclair, you got Rizzo. You didn't get Izzy Dane because of Petrovic and pretty much Ava not letting get in. So it was Reese who took that spot. And you had Gray as well as the one I felt the moment I saw her, she was going to win, Jada Parker. I knew Jada Parker was going to win. And I had a feeling that Soruka and Jada Parker might be the last two, but I wasn't sure. I thought maybe if it wasn't Sinclair, it might be Soruka, but it was Soruka. They did a decent job. In the end, Jada Parker won. I'm not surprised. Rizzo was the first one that was eliminated from the gauntlet, which I'm not too surprised because Rizzo really doesn't wrestle much. She's more of being a manager to the family than anything else. But eventually they will do something with Rizzo, but not expecting anything now. But seeing them going with Jada Parker, going after the NXT champion at No Mercy, it's fine. Another challenger for the Prodigy, the Pop Rocks, the Roxy, the Roxanne Perez. Let's make it clear. I'd rather call her Roxy, but let's make it clear. She needs meat. She needs fresh meat. And Jada Parker is one of the rare ones she has not faced yet. So counting on how well Jada is going to work in a high-profile match is going to be a big question. This is the interesting thing. We're going to be questioning, can she really handle a high-quality match? She looks impressive. She runs around in the ring impressive. She talks impressive. But can she get it done with someone who has way more experience than her in a Roxanne Perez? It's going to be a question. Next, Hank and Tank versus the OC. Now, I'm going to be honest. I did not expect this to happen. I did not expect the OC to win. Well, technically, I take that back. I didn't expect them to win easily. I knew they were going to win, but I didn't expect them to win easily. And to my surprise, they didn't win. It was Hank and Tank. By the end of that match, before it's going like, wait a minute, they would not let the OC job here. And they did. And I'm like, what? You're letting the OC job to Hank and Tank? Really? I'm sorry. I don't hate Hank and Tank. I don't. But I expected the OC to win here. Not easily. They didn't want to make Hank and Tank look bad. That's what I was thinking. That's why I said this. That's why I said earlier. The OC winning, I didn't expect them to win easily. But seeing that Hank and Tank were the ones who won instead of the OC, and then security, well, after Vic Joseph got spit on and hugged like crazy by Hank and Tank, and then security came up, and then they were celebrating with Hank and Tank, and then the OC wanted to break the necks and bones of Hank and Tank, but security lined up to protect them. I'm like, really? Hank and Tank, the host of Heatwave. Hank and Tank, the duo host of Heatwave, where they haven't really been doing a lot with Hank and Tank. It's been more comedic stuff. Not saying they can't do serious, but they've been more comedic than anything else. But you legitimately let them win over the OC. Okay, now what goes next? I don't know. Let's move on. I don't even know what I want to say with Lexus. No, sorry, not Lexus. Leon. Is it Leon? What is it? Leon versus Adonis. I believe that guy's name is Leon. I believe his name is Leon. I think so. Or Lennox. or Lennox. I can't remember his name. I only see him a couple of times. The guy with the glasses. I only see him a few times. Maybe 2 times would be the 3rd time I saw him. And it's been months since I seen him last when his partner, who came in that looked just like out the mud. So I did not expect Adonis to win here. I'm sorry. Look, Ashanti the Adonis, or Thick Adonis, he is but a jobber now. There was one time when he really was relevant in Hit Row. Now he jobs, and he jobs, and he jobs. Yes, it was interesting to see him trying to do something with the ladies, and then the ladies paying no attention and going to Lennox. And I'm like, he's a jobber now. And that's kind of sad that they never really gave him an opportunity to try and show what he can really do. I'm not saying I'm an Adonis fan, but when you have someone for so long and they were never booked correctly, you know they were never booked correctly with you-know-who Vince, you would think that hopefully, I could still be wrong, they could rebuild him. This might be the only time to let him job, but legitimately, you would think they'd do something with Adonis, try and give him an opportunity. And to be honest, I don't see them doing that. I think sooner or later they're just going to let him go. And maybe that'd be better for him, because what does he gain staying on the damn roster and now working NXT? I don't know what he gains staying. If they're going to release him, I hope they release him soon. Because honestly, they haven't given him an opportunity to at least show what he could do. Not saying that he's great, but like I've always stated, and that's when not many people said this, but I said this. Look, there are people in the mid-card and undercard that have never been given an opportunity with Vince. He just didn't care. And when SmackDown happened in 2016, when Jinder Mahal won, I said it myself, I wanted Jinder to win just to see if it could work. Shanti Adonis, they've done nothing with him. He's been nothing but a jobber. He never had the opportunity in Hit Row, especially once Swerve left. And I'm like, give him an opportunity to at least show what he can do, because it's not about you having the incentive. It's about them giving the opportunity to show that incentive. You can't always go off the rails because you get screwed over. They'll do that in there. Even with the change of management. If you go too much off the rails, you get what you want. You get screwed. So that's it. Now, let me give it to you like this. I know I should say something about Shawn Spears along with Jensen and what happened with Inufi and Blade. But I'm going to leave that because I don't know where they're going to go with that other than a tag match. So I'm going to leave it. But the last thing I'm going to talk about will be the final match. 3-way for the championship at No Mercy. The number 1 contendership. Wesley, who looks good. Pete Dunne, that I knew was never going to win. And Joe Henry. I thought, simple. It's going to depend on how they've been booking. How they've been booking a Joe Henry. It's kind of obvious they may go there with him. But I didn't know if they're going to pull the trigger. Wesley was the other one. I knew if they weren't going to go with Joe Henry, it was going to be Wes. Because after what happened with Pete Dunne on Raw, there is no way Pete Dunne is ever going to get anywhere. Never. Pete Dunne is a jobber. I'm not saying I hate him. I'm not saying I like him. But when you do double duty on 2 brands, you should not job one person in one brand and then try to make him look strong in another, because then it hurts how people perceive him, because there's still people looking at both brands like myself. I saw Raw. It was a great match with Sheamus, but he got his ass whooped. Like, that's not enough. That he goes into NXT like that, acting dominant when he got his ass kicked by Sheamus. I'm sorry. He should have never had the match with Sheamus and should have left this as a number 1 contendership. And then if he loses here, then you continue what's going on with Sheamus. And that wouldn't hurt him on the main roster. And then it would clear him from anything that's going on in NXT, because it makes him look weak on NXT. Don't make a difference. Now, Ethan was on commentary, listening and talking and everything. And when we got near the end of the match, it was a good match. Don't get me wrong, it was good. Seeing pretty much Samoan drops on both Paige. Well, let me give it to you like this. The way Paige acted when he saw the Samoan drop from Joe Henry to Wesley and Pete Dunne, it was good. I mean, you didn't see it, but you just heard him. The match was good. Pete was fine, even though I knew he wasn't going to win. Wes was great, and so was Joe Henry. Since Joe was dealing with two smaller guys, it was easier for him to do the moves that he normally wants to do. And by near the end, I didn't think there would be any type of swerve. I thought he would win either Wes or Joe Henry, which that was a question if they would even go there with Joe. And then Ethan would run in and attack either one of them. But no, Ethan grabbed one ref, pulled him out of the ring and stunned him, and then he prevented another ref from getting in the ring to see the match. And then guess who screwed over Ethan? It was Trick Williams, who screwed over Ethan. I believe he nailed Pete Dunne. And then after he nailed Pete Dunne, he shoved the ref into the ring. And then Joe Henry got the win. I'm like, they actually went there. Okay. This is going to be a big, interesting question. What they're going to do now at No Mercy. Because now we got something very interesting for No Mercy. I'm botching here because of one reason. What happens now to TNA? Because, and I'm going to make this clear to anyone who's watching. Right now, this is exclusive to Joe Henry. As much as people are going to say, dude, look how TNA is doing great. It's not the same. You're working with Joe Henry. This is not like NXT is going to be doing a joint PLE with TNA. If they do that, I will give them props. I will tell you that TKO WWE is doing a joint effort with Anthem. Because that's what that is. It's not TNA dealing with NXT. It is Anthem working with TKO Group Holdings WWE. That's what that is. But if they do a joint thing of a pay-per-view or PLE, I got no problem with it. I will give them props. But here's the thing. What does this really mean for TNA? There's only one way it would mean something. Only one, and that's at No Mercy. And that is Joe Henry winning the TNA. How can I explain this? Going to TNA with the NXT title. If he won it and took it to TNA, oh yes, that will be a game changer. I'm going to say this now. I've had my criticisms of TNA. There is no lie about it. You guys know what I've been saying. TNA has not changed one damn bit. Guys, I'm telling you now, what has TNA done differently? Don't lead me any connections to any articles. I want your point of view. What has TNA done differently? They're still booking the same way they did when they were Impact. Impact. They just did a wedding ceremony which should have never gone all the way through. And Matt Cardona should have stopped it before the wedding went through. And he says on one of the last episodes of TNA Impact, don't mess with my stuff, when he has perfect right to mess with stuff, PCO, because he's married to Steph. If he had stopped the wedding before it happened, that would have been perfect. That would have been fine, because that's the way normally you make a feud work in a wedding situation. But they didn't do that. They actually went through with the wedding, which makes no sense. Then look at the rest of what's going on. Jordan Grace is the only one there that makes any sense whatsoever, going from NXT to TNA. We haven't seen Nick go to NXT. He's not going there. He's going everywhere else. He's going to New Japan Pro Wrestling, I believe. He's going to GCW. He's going everywhere else but WWE. TKO WWE. That's the way it's working right now. But since we have Nick as a champion and we have Jordan Grace as a champion, where is the difference? Jordan's taken on anybody. But generally, she's been taking on people that's mainly been on the main roster or someone from somewhere else. And she only took on one person, that's Tatum. Tatum. What have we seen that's different from TNA? Nothing. But now, you see Joe Henry going to No Mercy. I don't know if they're going to actually pull the trigger and give him that damn title. If they do give him the title and he goes to TNA with the damn title, it will make a buzz for whatever network that TNA is on. There's no way it won't. There isn't. This will be a game-changing effect. I don't know how far the game-changing will happen. But if he goes to TNA Impact with the newly won NXT title, which I don't even think they'll do that. I think they're just going to let him get on the final match of No Mercy, and that will be it. But if they do pull the trigger, I promise you, I will give the props to TKO WWE, yeah, and Anthem for making this decision to work together like this. So I will tell you that I will give them props. I will clap the slow clap. I will give them props. The question will be what they do next. But that's if they pull the trigger. But it's just me. Peace.